Welcome to Overtime on Inferno, your weekly roundup of all the big stories in CSGO, quicker than Cloud9 can make a polo. A quick reminder, rate and review is the end of the episode. It really helps us. I'm Logan. This is Aizyesque. Let's get into it. We have a lot of things to talk about this week, and none of them are particularly large things. They're just a variety of small things. In addition to the fact that Cloud...
I mean, for me personally, some of them are very big, very close to my heart.
Okay, so we'll start with the thing that happened the furthest to go, and then we'll get into some roster moves because there's a ton of them.
All right.
So big thing, Cloud9 won IEM Dallas. So basically, there's no asterisks there, but the North American team won a North American tournament.
Even if they're a North American, there would still be multiple asterisks.
Oh yeah,
they're not even North American.
Yeah, if you didn't catch it, there were about 1 million players missing. So Sphinx was missing from Ents, who was in the finals.
Yep.
Navi was missing. FaZe was there, but they lost.
FaZe were missing.
FaZe were kind of missing. Hampus was missing. Snacks was there, though, which was cool. And he played well.
He was popping off. He was going
We
mad.
like that. That's like
Love
huge
some
poggers.
Yeah.
That's a huge amount of poggers. Yeah, I mean, Cloud9 won. It was a 3-0 best-of-5 final. Like it wasn't
incredibly boring grand final.
It was so boring.
It was over. You knew the result. You just win. It was just, do they win it 3-0 or win it 3-1? Like that was all it was.
It was yeah. I don't really have a huge amount more to say on this. Oddly, it was a boring event. Like I'm gonna say that I thought this was.
It's not. There was a lot of stand. I really think we should stop having events in the US until they sort out like visa issues, because every single event in the US just has massive visa issues.
I'm gonna say something controversial. I agree.
Yeah, it's.
I'm American and I'm agreeing with this. It's stupid to have events. It's stupid to have events here when you can't have half the players here. Like, go have them in Canada or something.
America until we figure out what's going on.
Here's the thing: I don't I'm not an immigration lawyer or a visa lawyer, whatever it is, right? I don't know exactly what's hitting all the players with it. Like from like what we've heard, this is not like totally a player issue as well. But like it sucks to have events without like full teams, right? Mm-hmm. So let's maybe make events with full teams. Like that's all. Yeah. That's all I have on that part.
It's getting silly now. Like every single event in the US seems to have this problem. Like, can you imagine if this was a major?
I'm sorry. You know what's happening in the US in like 4 or 5 months, right?
It could be any number of things.
League of Legends Worlds is happening across the US, true. Mexico, and Canada.
Yeah, true.
How many
I think it's probably easier to get Koreans in than it is.
What about all the
Russians
LEC European teams?
Yeah, but there aren't many like Israeli players. They tend to be from. Yeah, like the central, the bigger countries in a sense.
Oh darn! What about all those Turkish players?
Yeah, that's a problem. Like Broken Blade might actually have an issue. Like,
yeah, I mean Broken Blade's been to America. He had to play for TSM. All right, not the point. Totally different esports. TLDR on Dallas. I mean, it was nice to see. First of all, it was nice for me to have games go on till 11 p.m. Eastern. At least that was super nice. It was nice to see an American crowd again at an event, because it's been a really long time since we've been in America. Even pre-pandemic, I think it's been a while. So that was nice.
It was like 2019, I think.
Give us good events, please.
No, don't stop giving them events.
Well, stop giving us events,
Canada.
Canada will be fine. Stop giving us events when you can't have full teams there. Like it goes against the point.
Events at all.
Well, no, I'd like events. I don't want to have to pay
I think Canada's probably your best bet, because they're going to be a little bit easier to work with.
To be fair, IEM New York should come back around, and we'll figure it out there. All right, we have 1 million roster moves.
There's like 5, but it's fine.
No, there's more we're forgetting, just so you're aware. We'll start at the beginning. EG have officially signed Carpe Diem and the Party Astronaut roster to what they are deeming the blueprint, which no, that's actually what they're calling it. I swear to God, they're actually calling it the blueprint.
I mean, it's actually like, I really want to call it cringy because I don't like EG, but that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
it's kind of a cool name for it.
So someone from the EG team released a whole thing on this, and I swear to God, we're going to stop talking about League of Legends after this, but this is the last bit of League of Legends we have to talk about, which is EG has had an immense amount of success in North American League of Legends because of their academy team and their amateur team, and the way that they use the academy and the amateur team. So they're trying to take that philosophy and move it into Counter-Strike.
Yeah.
Whether it works or not, that's a very separate question.
By sending 30-year-old in-game leaders to their academy team.
Yeah, don't worry about that. Whether it works or not, that's a very separate question. But
I like the idea. I'm not sure the execution's perfect. Like party, come on. I like John G. Are we really? How much growth can this team really do? Like maybe the plan is you give them like a year and then you call up like a John G to the main quote unquote roster. You call up the best players from Carpe Diem and you just sort of rotate the squads around until you have one that isn't like bad. But I like the idea, and I think Carpe Diem, good signing. I'm not convinced by the Party Astronauts one. I mean, like maybe I'm wrong, maybe with time and resources and time spent in Europe, like maybe this team
they're playing at
beyond what I imagine it can.
They're playing at Pinnacle Cup right now.
Yeah.
So, speaking of the plan, in Brazilian, they would call that O Plano, which is a team that moved to 0-0 Nation. Just segues. They're looking...
I learned about the word segue. It's actually spelled SEGUE.
Yes. Well, when you're talking about
a lot of people think it's the same as the ride-on bicycle thing.
Totally separate anecdote. I've been to the house of the guy that invented the Segway. Not the literary term, but the physical moving thing.
Bizarre.
It's a really cool house.
I cannot. How many times does that come up in conversation? Like that is
a surprising amount
for you.
So he's in charge of a bunch of other things. If you want to find his house, it's very cool. Go online and search Dean Kamen. He's in charge of other things as well, but he's very well known for the Segway thing. Okay. O Plano.
He's in charge of evil geniuses. He came up
honestly, maybe under. If he was in charge of Evil Geniuses Counter-Strike, it may be doing a little bit better. Okay, 0-0 Nation targeting 6. Count that. That's more than 5. Godsent players. And by players, I mean members.
I just say I didn't read the article. I assumed they were like signing their entire team, and then I don't know, like a female player or something as a stand-in.
No, so they're
would be kind of hype, but
so. The Dust to Brazil article, not Dust to US, screw Ryan, Dust to Brazil article reads, Taco, Lado, Dumau, Barton, and the coach Chucky and Alan Diego are, meaning that VSM, Try, and Malbs would be moving to the bench, and that Henny would be the only member not moving over from Godsent.
So I heard yesterday, somebody I follow tweeted that Try might be staying.
I was to say, so who the fuck's opping? Because the offers are Try and Henny.
Dumau can op, and Godsent love. They're just let us have anyone op. Like if this move goes through, I would like to see. So Henny is the one not moving over. Like I don't know. I'd like to see Godsent sign Malbs, Try, and like. Sign the good players that are leaving 0-0 Nation.
Yeah, I honestly think that Malbs and Try are better than the Godsent guys. I think that they were just Malbs and Try were put in this kind of shitty situation on 0-0
Well, they're better than nobody.
Well, yeah, but like...
Which is what they would have.
Well, but my point is I think that Try and Malbs are actually really, really good players. I mean, we've been saying the praises of Malbs for about ever. I think they're probably better than the players they're bringing over. I think they just haven't had good teammates.
Dumau's unbelievable. Dumau is a fucking...
Okay, Dumau may be
Barton are unreal. Lato is whatever. Phelps is ridiculous. Like that Godsent team was dripping with talent. Like the one thing it didn't lack was talent. But I don't know, man. It seems strange. I think, like, the good thing for 0-0 Nation is that if Taco comes over, maybe Cold Zero doesn't in-game lead.
Genius.
The bad thing is you're spending a lot of money for a slight upgrade. It's a slight upgrade, talent-wise. Like, the problem with that team was always Cold Zero's in-game leading. Like, you watch 0-0 Nation, you don't go, if only this team had more firepower. I mean, you can always have more firepower, don't get me wrong. But they had more firepower than some of the teams they were losing to. They just didn't have a good in-game leader. Like, that team was messy. And they were like, so what we need to do is give Cold Zero carte blanche to sign half the Brazilian scene and ruin some more careers so he can bait them.
So here's the question. Would The Last Dance have been better if Cold Zero was there or not?
Worse. It'd be worse.
Okay. Because
Cold Zero, at his peak, was one of the most resource-heavy players in the world, but good enough to... He was like Blame F if instead of, like, exit kills, he got, like, clutches. He was, like, really resource... You had to do everything to get him into position, but once you did, he would win the round every time. Yeah. Nowadays, he requires slightly less resources, but with infinitely less impact. He's just not a good player anymore. I've watched enough of Cold Zero on FaZe, on Complexity, on 0-0 Nation. He's not a good player anymore. You can argue with me if you want. Maybe he makes a comeback on this team and he looks like a beast. He has not been a good player for like 2 years. He's crap. He's just a crap player now. As an in-game leader, he's mediocre. He's taken two of the most talented players in South America, North America in Mavs' case, and done absolutely nothing with them, shipped them off for all the players as soon as he could to bring back his old friend Taco. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand. I think Cold Zero has ruined this team. I really do. I think that team had potential, and I think it was ruined by Cold Zero.
That sounds about right.
You know what? I am with KNG's mom on this. KNG's mom wasn't a big fan of Cold Zero either. I'm with her.
Okay.
I'm with her.
All right. Let's talk about next roster. There's still 4 more moves we have to talk about. Fnatic. Oh, yeah. They have officially signed Nikodaz.
Don't you mean Fantic? I fucking hate that shit.
Fnatic have officially signed Nikodaz and Roy. Alex is on the bench. Poison's on the bench. So Crims, Mezzi, and the 2 Danes are what's left. Currently standing in for them in Pinnacle is Forest.
Yeah, this team... I hope they sign Forest full-time. It wouldn't be a good move, I don't think.
No. But who cares?
It'd be fire. Yeah, it'd be cool as fuck. Would it be a bad move? I mean, it's obviously, not good long-term planning whatsoever. But I don't think signing Roy is particularly great long-term planning either. Roy, Nikodaz, Mezzi, Crims, Forest. I mean, it could work. I mean, it would be...
It can't be worse than the prior lineup. Let's be real here. It cannot be worse than what they had before.
They could build right now. I don't see the long-term progression for that team. I don't really like the fact that Mezzi is in-game leading. I get it, but I don't really like it because he was really good, and now it's just gonna ruin him again. But whatever. And I think it only makes sense if you can get a fucking superstar fifth. You get a Yakinda, even maybe a JKS if we're gonna go. If you can get a fucking superstar, all right. I don't mind.
Who might have worked on this team? Roland.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of would have. They need a fucking a fragger. They need some fucking 17-year-old with the greatest mechanic. They need Bit 2. They need Monacy 2. They need that and then I don't mind Mezzi in game leading. But you are not going to find. Maybe they are going to find a better player than Mezzi to fill in as the fifth, but I doubt it. And then you're handicapping one of your best player Let's be real. I think he's better than Nikodos and Roy. Maybe I'm wrong. But you're handicapping your best player as an in-game leader when you've got Crims, who's like 45. Like, surely you should just let Crims in-game lead.
Actually, I feel like you should let Forrest in-game lead for right now, at least.
Yeah, like maybe that's a good way to teach. I don't know. Has Forrest ever in-game led though? I feel like he's
no, but he's.
I feel like he plays entirely off vibes.
Okay, but here's the thing: Forrest is, and this is not an exaggeration, 33 years old, which in esports terms is ancient, right?
Yep.
He's played with 1 million in-game leaders. I'm sure he can IGL for a tournament at a not the worst level known to humankind.
Yeah, but like nearly all of those in-game leaders have been exist. I guess he played
and Lecro.
Yeah, exactly. Who also isn't an in-game leader,
and like, technically Pronax.
I mean, fine, but like that was 10 years ago. Look, Swedish Counter-Strike's kind of famous for being a bit like less about thinking and more about shooting.
It's Fnatic.
Forrest is like the. I refuse to believe Forrest thinks about anything he does. He plays entirely off instinct. Like he's that good, he doesn't need to. But like, I'm pretty sure he just like everything he does. He almost couldn't explain. There's a guy who's a football pundit, a guy called Alan Shearer. You probably don't know him, but anyone who knows, even vaguely follows football will know him. He's the highest goal scorer in Premier League history. They have him as a pundit. He's fucking useless because what he did was so natural to him. He couldn't explain to you, like, oh yeah, no, I just stood here, the ball came to me, I smashed it in. But why have you stood there? Because the ball was going there. How did you finish? I just smashed it in. So it was so natural to him that he can't actually, like, it's really hard for him to explain how he does things, why it works, because he just did it. And I get the feeling Forrest is probably quite similar. He's like, well, I peeked him and I won the fight. Yeah, but why did you peek him? Because I was going to win the fight. What do you mean? Well, you had to kill him, didn't we? That's the point. I mean, I guess like that's how I think Forrest is like, and I don't think as an in-game leader, like maybe for an event that's fine, and maybe
that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying one event,
but
saying one event.
I get the feeling he just wants to turn up, bring good vibes, and shoot some people. Like maybe I'm entirely wrong.
To be fair, I'm not sure that there's an issue with that either.
No, of course not. I mean, it's worked for him so far.
Yeah. So speaking of those new players that moved over to Fnatic from the Copenhagen Flames, the Copenhagen Flames have, I think the technical word is bench. Yabi, Huxi, and Zyphoon. I think their actual thing is they're trying to build a new team, and they don't want to keep them because those players are way too good for them at this point. Like they're trying to make a new team. Those players should be on better teams, so they're trying to get them onto better teams. I think is what's I mean,
yes, but if nobody wants them, how can you say they should be on better teams than you?
Like, so they wrote that they are hoping to find a new home for them.
Yeah, because fine. Like they want to cash in. I don't blame them. Like they're a very small org who've hit gold. They can't afford the wages that these players should quote unquote be getting.
Yep.
Of course they want to sell them, but if you can't sell them, you have to go, well, I guess they're not actually too good for us. They're exactly where they're supposed to be.
We may have more information about this next week, depending on things happening.
Because they might be sold.
Yeah. Also other things, but you'll know about that ahead of time if other things are happening. Okay, moving along. Sumdai Young is currently standing in for Navi, which is a move that I have already forgotten about.
Yeah, I keep remembering going, oh yeah, that makes sense, and then that's about as much as I can think about it.
So we have like two pieces to talk about Sumdai Young standing in for Navi, because the reason Sumdai Young is standing in for Navi is because Boomich is no longer playing for Navi.
Yeah. I kind of don't want to talk about this. Look, all I'm saying is, if you search his name on Twitter, don't open the images tab. That's what I'm saying.
Don't open the images tab.
Just don't open that. Okay.
I'm fairly certain that we did a TLDR Twitter thread. If you want to go read that and find out what it is, please go ahead. Thank our fantastic tweet manager people that did it. Cool. We're not going to talk about the Boomich thing. Yes. Was it Krilla? Okay, I thought
it was Krilla who did the thread. We have two social media guys. Pixel.
Thank your TLDR social media manager. Some Young, though, standing in for Boomich, because Boomich has departed the active lineup. So, you know, the guy from Spirit that everyone was like, oh, where'd he go? He's playing for Navi right now.
Some Young is a decent player. That's like, he's a role player. He will very rarely let you down. He can play it, like he's kind of similar to Boomich in a way, in that he used to be a star player who became a bit more of a role player once he realized fucking everyone in this region is a star player. Everyone in this region has star player mechanics. I'm going to set myself apart by being the glue guy, being Scottie Pippen instead of Michael Jordan.
Yeah. So an interesting thing about the Some Young move is that Navi has been very upfront about this. Both Navi and Some Young have been really upfront about this. They have said, I'm trying to find it. Oh, whether Victor, Some Young, continues to play for Navi in the future depends on his performance in the upcoming tournament. They are being not very secretive about the fact that Some Young may just stay with the team if he does well. If this works, he might just stay.
They are somewhat limited in their pool of potential players. I thought it might be Headtrick who comes up. And it might still be if Some Young doesn't impress. But like when you say you're not going to take players from Russia and you're a CIS team.
Yep.
There's one other player who they might sign who we'll get to in a second. Because he's just left his team.
So I'm trying to figure. There's some more things before that point, so we'll bring it back
to that.
In the always interesting oceanic scene, Renegades, who have been a mainstay for years and years and years. I just wanted to mention this. We don't need to talk about it. I wanted to mention it. Renegades.
I'm so annoyed by this move.
Yeah, who have been a mainstay in the oceanic scene for years and years and years. Have sold their team over to Order. I don't even know if it's sold. Order just now has the Renegades roster, which to be fair, used to be the Order roster.
Yeah, I just it doesn't make sense. It's
like I actually no.
Can we try some different players at this point? Like I don't know, man. Moves so boring.
It's just it's not even super like insanely boring. It's just like this makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, sort of. It kind of doesn't make that much sense.
I mean, well, Order just dropped all of their entire team like a couple weeks ago.
Are Renegades going to sign them by any chance?
Probably. Okay, so there's like 2 more moves.
Yeah,
we're close.
Biggies.
We're close. These are the two big. These are the 2 big ones. Would you like to talk about the first one?
I'm assuming the first one is
yes.
Marcus Kierby has returned from his hiatus and has joined Endpoint, which I kind of love. I kind of love this move for everyone.
Oh, I absolutely love this move. We've been saying for a little bit, right, that Kierby is not going to go to a tier 1 team right away. That he's going to go to a tier 2 team and he's going to need to show everyone that he can still frag the fuck out and absolutely destroy people, right?
Yeah, and let's see if he can. Like
this is the way.
This is the perfect team for a star player to prove them. Like so many players have gone to Endpoint, been in this exact role, and come out looking better. Like Boros, for whatever there's some weird shit going on there, but yeah, Boros looked good. Flamesy,
Messi,
technically. Yeah, there's another one who escapes my mind. Like people come into this team. With these core of players, they are given star roles because they're with role players. They frag the fuck out in tier 2. They go to tier 1 events, get like a 1.15 because they're the best player on the team, and then they move up. Kierby's coming back from hiatus. Everyone knows how good he can be. If he's not just all mouth, no trousers, if he's seriously like back and like playing well and is grinding, he will frag out. He will farm on this team, and then he will eventually move up. Endpoint get a player who, with a pedigree they normally would not be able to get. They get potential profit if he does play well, because an on-form Kiebi is worth a lot of money. He's an exceptional player when he's playing well. And Kiebi gets a good opportunity on a team that is built for him to succeed, and away from the spotlight a little bit. I mean, not entirely, but it's not like North. It's not like Astralis. Like, slightly away from the spotlight. And hopefully he gets to farm some kills and get back to the level of quality player that he was before.
Okay.
But he didn't retire. Like, he said, oh, yeah, no, I'm retiring. He didn't fucking retire. He's back within like a year and a half. That's not a retire. That's a break.
You want to talk about the other move? Your other invested move?
So the other move, and the reason I brought this up about Na'Vi, is Entropic have dropped Lackey, who is a player that could potentially, he isn't Russian, but he does speak Russian, who could potentially be on Na'Vi's radar, to bring in Mia, which I have a feeling this move has some sort of political undertone, like Lackey was the only non-Russian, maybe they're doing the opposite of Na'Vi, where they're only signing Russian players, because, like, you know, maybe he doesn't want to be...
Shame to Entropic?
I think that... I don't think they need to make any more changes. Those teams are really good. Actually, we should probably talk... I don't think we did talk about VP, didn't we? And they've brought in Mia, who is, like, at his peak, a sensational player. At his peak, he is genuinely one of the most dangerous players in the world. He is a battering ram on the T side. He will open rounds up, he will close them down. Like, whatever role you put him in, he is elite at it on the T side. His sense of timing is phenomenal on both sides of the map. He has, like, almost pixel perfect first bullet aim. He is a Swiss Army knife, like, Counter-Strike player. He is superb mechanically, and he's clearly quite an intelligent player as well. The only thing with him is that there's rumors that he's a bit difficult to work with. We'll see if that flares up again, because if he fits into this team and they play around him, he's fucking brilliant. He's really good.
I think there's one more really, really small move. I think that's it for the moves. I think we're finally done. You can see how long it's taking us to go through these moves, because there's a lot. Lucky off his Astralis stint returned back to Tricked.
Which the reverse Bubsky.
The reverse Bubsky. This is probably a cool move or something. I don't.
I don't care.
It's more of just like, this happened.
Yeah, I don't care about this move. Like, either way, like, I don't really care if it's great for Tricked, if it's bad. Like, it's a fine move. It's very similar to, like, every time a French player gets cut, they go and join what is now Falcons, or the other one, Heat. So, cool.
Okay, I got one more quick thing to talk about, because I feel like it's important to talk about this. IEM Dallas was not the only tournament that happened in Dallas last weekend.
ESL Impact, yes.
ESL Impact happened in Dallas last weekend. I watched, I think, more ESL Impact than I did IEM Dallas, because honestly, Dallas felt really boring to me.
I watched every single game of IEM Dallas. Even if there was two at once, I watched them both at once. I watched every single game.
Thank you, Mr.
Nothing to do with the fact I was working at the event. Nothing whatsoever.
Okay. So, point me bringing this up, right, is for a really long time, we have not had international women's Counter-Strike tournaments. It's been regionalized. It has been North American, and there's been Europe. And there's been two main teams, right? Or actually North America, Brazil, and Europe. And we got to see all of them compete at this event, which was awesome. And we got to see that, as per usual, North America, not as good. So the team that, if you just are getting into Counter-Strike, or you only follow the men's pro scene, right? Team you may know here is CLG Red. They are probably the biggest women's Counter-Strike team in the world. They got third place. They lost 16-1 to Furia, if I remember correctly. Yeah,
there's a lot of, like, heavy wins in the ESL Impact in the women's scene. A lot. Because I think the difference, because there's a lower player base, the difference between the good teams and the not so good teams is very pronounced.
Yeah. So teams here that you may have heard of, if not just for the name on its own, Attack has a female team. Nigma Galaxy, who you may have heard of because Vilga, Ana, and 23 are all on it, who are very prolific players. Furia's female team, who came in second place in this event.
So much fun to watch, by the way.
Who, if you were watching the Dallas stream, you actually saw Gary and a bunch of the Furia players sitting in the front row and like running up to the stage in between rounds, cheering them on, which was awesome. The actual like having the event be there and watching it was a very, very cool experience to see, at least on stream. As I think the last women's tournament that we've realistically had was DreamHack. Was it DreamHack Open something?
There was, yes. I cannot remember the name. It was called.
It's not Game Changers. That's the Valorant thing.
I can't remember. I should know because
it's not DreamHack Impact either. It's a DreamHack tournament. But basically, it's here now, and this is cool. And please give us more of this. That's my TLDR on this. This was good. Please more.
Yeah.
Thumbs up.
It's. I mean, it's obviously a positive for all of.
It's a positive for a huge amount of reasons,
and the fans. And
here's the biggest positive reason for it. For me, is that Valorant has an absolutely massive women's scene, like huge. Like the second Riot made VCT, they've also simultaneously had Valorant Game Changers across regions, right? People you also may know from Counter-Strike, like Juliano, who was part of XSET previously, moved over to Valorant. It's good to see that at least ESL is kind of giving a shit about the state of women's Counter-Strike to a degree.
To some extent.
I'll take as much as I'd love more. I'll take what I can get for it now.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, that's all we got for this week. We will see you again next week. I think we start our break soon. It exists. I don't know when it will be.
Well, Blast we'll be back next week. We should be recording during the first day of Blast premiere.
We'll be recording during the first day of Blast.
We'll be able to recap that event in Dubai for some reason. We'll know if Fnatic did or didn't win Pinnacle Cup, which they probably should. But actually, bigger there. It's not complete. Like, it's one of the best Pinnacle Cups I've ever seen. Big Fnatic, Heroic, NIBR, Astralis, Imperial, Finest, and Party Astronauts.
No. EG.PA.
Yeah, Party Astronauts. Like, they've played 3 maps so far, and they're yet to hit double figures in one of them. So,
yeah, it's okay. They'll get better. Probably, maybe. I don't know. We'll find out. All right, follow us on Twitter at TLDR, at Logan Raven, at Aizyesque. You can find us again next week on Wednesday. We will see you all then.
Sure.